I showed my unfaithful wife how unforgiving I am when she makes mistakes. Life can change so quickly. If you had seen me 6 months ago, I would have been a happy man, content with my life. Now I'm writing my life story online to ask people what they think I should do. I'm at a point where I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'm 32 and have been married for 4 years to my wife, who is 30. I work in a tech company, while my wife is a homemaker. We have a 1-year-old daughter. I met my wife Maria 6 years ago in a club where I was with a group of friends. We started talking and dancing together. We chatted for a while and then danced together. She was a great dancer and really fun to be around. We didn't exchange contact details, but we had a great time dancing and drinking together before heading off in our separate directions. You should have got her number, bro. My friend Ethan, a few days later, he told me I was in love with the girl from the bar. I really should have, I replied, sighing and rubbing my eyes. I couldn't get her out of my mind. I was regretting not getting her number. I was out for a work lunch with Ethan, but the client got we were stuck in traffic, so it was just us, me and Ethan. We've been friends since college, and also started working in the same company. Holy cow, he said, his face wide open in shock. What did I say now? I thought, finally smiling. Entering the restaurant was none other than the girl from the bar. I saw her laughing with her friends as she made her way to their table. I can't believe I'm seeing her again, I thought. The regret of not asking for her number finally left my shoulder. Maybe it was I thought, ludicrously, that it was our destiny to meet again. I wasn't going to repeat the same mistake again. I called the waiter and sent her a martini. She'd ordered that drink at the bar the night before. This time she gave me her number before we went our separate ways. We started chatting a lot. She was working on temporary jobs. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's when there's a vacancy and the company looks for someone to fill it. They hire people in those positions to fill it temporarily. She didn't know what she wanted to do permanently. She liked that her job didn't need any long. She was looking for a long-term commitment and could leave her job if she got bored. I liked talking to her. We were both single and just wanted to have some fun. We went to clubs together and partied with our friends a lot. One thing led to another, and we kissed outside her house one night. I told her I really liked her. She told me she liked me too. We started hanging out with each other a lot more. We would spend weekends in bed. I was really happy to be with her. I thought it was mutual. Maria was quite beautiful wherever she went. Guys would turn. I couldn't believe how lucky I had gotten. She would tell me how guys flirted with her wherever she went. It never surprised me. I thought it was because of her beauty, but it wasn't just that. One evening when I took Maria out for dinner with my friends, I noticed something. She was here as my girlfriend, but was still smiling and flirting with one of my friends who was single. At the time, it felt a bit strange, but I thought maybe they were just being friendly. It wasn't just me overthinking things during our relationship. I noticed her openly flirting with other men on more than one occasion. When I confronted her about it, she told me it was just healthy flirting and didn't mean anything. I told her that I wasn't comfortable with my girlfriend openly flirting with men, and then I didn't do that, so I thought it was fair for me to expect the same in return. She said the same thing. She told me she wouldn't do it if I didn't like it, and that was the end of the conversation. She stopped flirting, or what she called healthy flirting. Our relationship went well, but we also had some rough patches. Even though Maria told me she'd stopped flirting with random men, I still saw her passing sensual smiles to random men. Sometimes she got texts from men asking her where she was and what she was doing. I would confront her. I brought it up again, and she got angry. She said I didn't trust her and that it was just my insecurity talking. When we had fights like this, we stopped talking to each other. Then she would come and tell me she was sorry and say some sweet things. I was a young man in love and I couldn't resist her, so I let it go. On our second anniversary, I proposed to her and she said yes right away. We got married with our friends and family present. Maria said she didn't want to work anymore. I told her that if she doesn't want to, then she doesn't need to. I've worked hard and I've done well at my job and at my other job. I've made some good investments. I'm happy I can provide a comfortable life for my family. Our life is going well. I want to expand our family, but Maria said she isn't ready for it. I understand that becoming a mother is a big commitment. I wanted to make sure she was completely ready for it. I didn't have to wait long though, because after 2 years of marriage, Maria told me she was ready to be a mother. She said it felt natural for her to be a mother, and she soon got pregnant with our baby girl. Everything felt too good to be true. We were going to be a complete family. Our baby girl came into this world about a year ago. She looked so beautiful in my arms. She was a perfect balance between me and my wife. I held her in my arms. I was there with my wife in the hospital bed while our daughter was born. My family was finally complete, and I was going to do everything I could to give them the best life possible. Maria didn't have any complications during the birth, but she suffered postpartum depression. I hated seeing her like that. Doctors told me that it was more common than I thought. They said she would heal with time, so I made sure to be there for her, through all of it. I took leave from work to be there for her. After about a month, Maria and the baby were feeling better. She told me I should go back to work, even though I was reluctant at first. I went back to work, but there was a lot on my plate. I had to work extra hours to make up for lost time. I felt bad that I wasn't able to give Maria and the baby enough of my attention. It wasn't fair for Maria to handle the baby alone, especially when she was just starting to feel better. Work wasn't. I could have ignored it, but I found a solution. I hired a nanny for the baby so Maria could have some time to herself. I told her she should go out with her friends, but she was reluctant at first. She didn't want to leave the baby and go anywhere. I convinced her it was okay. It was the biggest mistake I ever made. She started going out with her friends. The first time she went, I saw how happy she was when she came back. She had always been a party girl, so it didn't. I told her that if it made her happy, she should make time for herself. She hugged me and thanked me so many times for being understanding. I didn't think I was doing anything special. Any husband would want his wife happy, and I was doing the same. I came home early from work to be with the baby when Maria had plans with her friends. We had a nanny, but I thought it's best if one of the parents was with her most of the time. I didn't want my daughter to be raised by a nanny. I was happy to get some extra help, but I liked to be an involved parent. Maria was also happy as she was able to enjoy her life like she did before. Even though Maria and I weren't spending much time together, I was content that she was feeling better. I thought that soon everything would be fine, and we'd spend a lot of time together. But that never happened. One night after Maria came from hanging out with her friends, she told me that she was very tired. I told her to go to bed and that I'd come to bed after putting the baby to sleep. I put the baby in her crib and went to our bedroom. Maria was fast asleep when I came to the room, so I joined her in the bed and was going to sleep as well. But I heard her murmuring, so I turned to look at her side. Her brows were knitted together, and she was calling someone in her dream. She said it wasn't me. I didn't even know Jack. I was pretty confused, but I figured it was probably just a random dream and went to sleep. The next morning, I didn't remember anything from the night before. Everything seemed normal for a few days, until it all came apart. Maria had gone out with her friends, so I was at home with our baby. I was watching TV when the door opened, and Maria came in. I smiled when I saw her, and she smiled back. She took the baby from my arms and kissed her. She told me she was tired and was going to take a shower before going to bed. I was replying to some emails on my phone, but then my phone ran out of battery. I looked for my charger but couldn't find it. I must have left it in the office. I went to our room to take Maria's charger. I was looking for her charger in her bag when I saw a hotel bill and a packet of condoms. Why is there a hotel bill and condoms in her bag? We didn't use them. I was pretty shocked to see condoms and a hotel bill in her bag. I stood there for a moment, processing what I was seeing. My wife was cheating on me. Maria came from the shower and saw what I was looking at. She smiled, but it quickly faded, and her face turned pale. I waited for her to tell me what was going on. I asked her why she had this with her. I was hoping that what I assumed wasn't true and that she hadn't done anything, but her face told me that I was right. Maria realized that there was no point in lying anymore and started crying. I would have felt bad if she cried about anything else. I had no interest in making her feel better. She told me what I already knew. She said she made a mistake and that it was harmless. She said I wouldn't initiate something like that. I kept looking at her, and she continued talking. Then she told me how her friends go to the same bar every time. She said the bartender kept flirting with her. She didn't flirt back with him at first, but he didn't give up. I thought it would be just harmless flirting. She told me what happened next. I asked in a neutral voice. She said she didn't expect her flirting to lead anywhere. She thought it would be fun to do it just for old time's sake. He kissed me, she whispered. Her words were breaking something inside of me. Then I asked. We were alone at that time. All my friends had left, and I thought I'd have one. She said she'd had a few more drinks and then called the driver. But suddenly, he was so close to her that he thought she was interested in him because she'd been flirting. Then he kissed her, and she couldn't stop him. I asked her, "What do you mean you couldn't stop him?" She said, "I kissed him. I kissed him back, but I don't know what happened before he took me to a room in that hotel." She said, without meeting my eyes, that I wasn't going to like this, but I didn't think her words were going to hurt like this. She told me that I'd slept with him. I summed up what she'd said for her. She continued explaining, "I know it was wrong to cheat on my partner, and I'm sorry. It was a one-off and I didn't think it through. I only found out who he was when I asked her. She told me his name was Jack. She said she'd been dreaming about him in our bed. I didn't know what to say. I was so embarrassed. The woman had the nerve to sleep with a random guy at the bar and then come home and tell me it was a small mistake. It was clearly more than that. My anger was getting the better of me, and I didn't want to say anything to her. I told her I was going to sleep. I sent her to the guest room and left her there. This happened 2 days ago. Now I'm avoiding her. I stay at the office until late and leave home early in the morning. I don't know how to deal with this mess. Kind people on Reddit, if you know what I should do, please tell me. I'm not sure what to do about this. It's been 2 weeks since I found out Maria had cheated on me. I avoided her at first because I didn't want to look her in the eye. Days passed, and I kept avoiding her until I couldn't take it anymore. I went to a bar and got drunk, like I had never been before. I didn't get drunk like that even when I was a teenager. I decided I was going to show my wife the consequence of her mistake. I caught the eye of the woman giving me a smile. I usually would have ignored it, but I didn't. On that day, it was pay time. I took that woman home. I opened the door and took her inside. I made a big gesture of welcoming her in and took her to the living room. My wife didn't like being in the living room when I was there, or any room for that matter. But I knew Maria was watching. I asked the woman to kiss me, and she did. I let her continue the kiss, knowing my wife was watching me with another woman's mouth on my mouth. I wanted Maria to see this. I wanted her heart to hurt, just like mine did when she told me that she slept with another man. I could hear Maria crying, "But you reap what you sow." She deserved this pain and caused this mess in our home. I stopped the woman when I heard my daughter crying and told her to leave. I was polite but firm. She pouted but left grudgingly. I went to the baby's crib and took my daughter in my arms. I picked up my daughter and she stopped crying after a little bit. She gave me so much peace of mind. I put her to sleep and went back to the living room. Maria was there, her face covered, her hands covering her face. I know you wanted me to see that, but I didn't reply, and then went to the guest room. The next morning I woke up with I went to the kitchen to get something when I saw that Maria was making coffee. Even seeing her filled me with anger, so I decided it was best to avoid her. "She made this for your hangover," she said as she passed me some green liquid. My head was throbbing, but I didn't drink it. I really needed her help. I didn't want to act like my wife, but I was her husband. "Oh, really? Didn't you forget that when you slept with another man?" I didn't have time for her drama. I grabbed a bottle of water from the fridge and went back to the guest room. I took some medicine and started feeling better. I wasn't proud of what I did last night. It wasn't just my style. I knew Maria was hurt by what happened. She was sobbing, but that wasn't enough. I wanted her to suffer. I was going to make that happen. I called my lawyer and told them to make the papers as soon as possible. They told me it would be ready within 24 hours. The next day, the papers were sent to me in my office. I wanted to see Maria's reaction when she saw them. I got a call from Maria just as I was leaving work. It was the first time she'd called me since she came home that night. I picked up the phone, thinking it could be about our daughter too. I went to the mall to do some shopping, but they said the card is blocked. This was the first time she'd called me, and it was because her card is blocked. I guess she was still in shock. She started going on about how I can't do that, and that I didn't have time for her theatrics. I told her I thought I just did, and then hung up on her. I found Maria waiting for me at home. I can't do much shopping at home if I don't have the money. She didn't waste another minute and started telling me that I can't take her money. "I know you're upset, but don't act like this. The audacity of this woman knew no bounds. I told her it wasn't her money. But my money, I just liked providing for her because she was my wife. I don't want to spend any more on a like you. I told her. She said that legally she's still my wife and has the right to my finances. That made me smile. She was confused as to why I see, smiling, "You are my wife, but not for long." I gave her the divorce papers, and she looked at them and seemed to understand. The papers said that I was filing for divorce because of my wife's adultery. My lawyer had told me that we'd get full custody of my daughter since we were getting a divorce because Maria had been unfaithful to me. She wasn't going to get a single penny from me. I was prepared to pay my lawyer a lot of money to make sure Maria lost everything I'd provided for her. She was going to be on the streets. Maria didn't have any assets or any money. I was going to make Maria suffer and make her regret cheating on me. I thought of it as our money, but now it's my money. I've been happily divorced for a year now. I have full custody of my daughter and didn't have to pay anything to Maria, thanks to the loopholes my lawyer provided. Maria moved out a year ago when she was taking her jewelry and designer clothes. My lawyer, who was present that day with 2 of his assistants, told her she couldn't take. I told her it was mine, and she was shocked. She was about to leave when I stopped her. She looked at me with hope, like I'd give her everything, but she was mistaken. I told her she'd forgotten it was a 3-carat diamond. I wasn't going to let her keep it. "I don't think this means anything to you since our marriage never did either," I said as I took the ring from her and threw it in the fireplace. "Why did you do that?" she asked, like she couldn't believe her eyes. "I didn't want you to have it." I didn't say I was going to keep it. She was really embarrassed and then left the house. I haven't seen her since. She doesn't have any money or a home. The last I heard, she was living with some friends before they kicked her out. Either way, she didn't even ask to meet us. My daughter, and that was fine by me. I didn't need her negativity in our life. I'm happy with my daughter, thanks to everyone who has heard my story so far. I'm grateful for all your comments and advice. It felt good sharing my story with you all.